Hello, friends. Welcome to Coding Garden with CJ. Welcome to a coding Q&A. Look at all the dancing blobs. We're gonna be answering questions today. We're gonna hang out. It's gonna be a good old coding garden time. Welcome everyone to the show. It's been a while, just like last time it had been a while. It's been a week since I last streamed. Right now, the schedule is one stream a week. We'll see. My hair is green. It's been green for a while. But welcome everyone. If you're new, join me in playing the drop game. Just type !drop me in the chat. We'll get this started. You could also drop a dancing blob, but there's me. And if you land in the garden, you'll get your name on the screen for a little bit. Yeah, look at it. Look at all the people. Welcome. Welcome. Hey, Dev Him, thank you for that 3-month resub. Nobody's landed in the garden yet. Nobody. I mean, people did earlier, but not since I told you to drop. Who's gonna be first? It's a little one. I don't know. Oh, are you talking about that dancing blob emote, Infi? Oh, there we go. Drunk Time Lord. Good job. Great drop. Guan the Third, I see. Hacks is there. Awesome. I had like a thought for a second. I was going to do something. I don't know. Welcome to the show. Like I said, we're going to be answering questions today. So if you go to vox.coding.garden, vox.coding.garden, this is where your questions will appear. Chatterbox Coder, thank you very much for the raid. And welcome, raiders. Can we welcome all the raiders in with some hearts? Coding heart. Thanks for being here and thanks for that raid. We're just getting started too. We literally just got started. And today the plan is to answer questions. So we have this website, vox.coding.garden. You can see that you can run these commands in the chat and your questions will appear here just like they have for Drunk Time Lord. You may notice that there are a lot of questions that aren't here. And this morning I made the executive decision to not show questions older than a month and a half, basically. So if you asked a question more than a month ago and it's not here anymore, feel free to ask it again. But in the chat, you can do !ask followed by your question. It'll follow here. It'll show up here. You can also comment. You can upvote. And you can go to this page to see if your question has already been asked. And Nookie Poo, thank you for those bits. 100 biddies. Good day. Good day. And what's up, Chatterbox Coder? I don't know if I've seen you. I don't know. Who are you, Chatterbox Coder? Coding in chats. Nice. Building a telephone line into Twitch and Science and Tech. That sounds fun. Welcome. I think that's about it. So if you have a question and you want to put it in front of my eyes, the best way is to go to this website, vox.coding.garden. Hey. There's a hype train. NK Johan, thank you very much for that Twitch Prime sub. There are a few other support events that happen right before the stream too. Let's see. Kindtex, subscribe with Twitch Prime before the stream. Unaleta with that tier 1 sub, thank you very much. McBelly Shelf with a 3-month sub, who says good to catch your stream. Welcome, welcome. Thank you Alda Testino for that Twitch Prime sub as well. Syntax Wax with a 2-month resub. And hey, Curious Drive, thanks for the raid! Bobhead, thank you for that Twitch Prime sub. And we just got raided by a Chatterbox Coder too. Welcome, raiders. Welcome to the show. We're just getting started. But Syntax Wax says, 2 months already. Hope you're having a great morning. Cheers from Australia. Cheers. And Dev M, thank you for that 3-month Twitch Prime resub. Says, love the stream. Thanks again, Chatterbox Coder, for that raid. Did I miss anything else? I think that's mainly it. Can I spell your users? Yes, I know how to spell. Who are you, Curious Drive? Playing coding games, very cool. So you have arrived at the Coding Garden. We're just getting started, and we're going to be answering questions from this website. But before we do that, it's tradition around here to explain all the things that are happening on my screen. So first of all, there's the drop game. A few of you have already joined me in playing the drop game, but if you type !drop followed by your favorite emote, or any emote. So I'm gonna do this. It should fall from the sky. There it is. And if it lands in the garden, your name will appear on the screen. That's great. Also, you can check out my overlay, and you can see that there are some customizations that you can do. You can see that some people have their pronouns set, like ACM has their pronouns set to he. They have the India flag, and they also have Team React. Rate has the JS team. What else? Hey, Ally Post. Thank you for the 100 bits. Here's some bits because I'm too low on cash to actually. I appreciate you. And Byte Push Array with a resub. James H. Dev with the resub. You all are nice. Very nice people. Thank you very much. Cool. Yeah, so if you want to set those things on your messages, first of all, you can set your pronouns. If you want to know what pronouns we have, you can type exclamation mark what pronoun. What pronouns in the chat, and these are your options. You have she, he, they, co, none, they, hi, it, one, am, or yo. Choose yours, and then type exclamation mark pronoun, followed by your preferred pronoun, and then all of your messages will have your pronouns like that. If you want to set your country, you can do exclamation mark country, followed by your 2-character country code, not 3, 2. It might actually work with 3, but 2 is the best bet of it actually working. So for me, I am in the United States. So I do exclamation mark country US, and that makes the flag appear. And we got CBA from Argentina, and Fat Man from Austria, and Awaited from the Netherlands. And hey, Daniel Garden, thanks for being here. Thank you for that 6-month resub. Yeah. Okay, and then lastly, you can set your team. So if later on people are like, hey, how you do that? In the chat, if you type exclamation mark badges, it explains what I just told you, and also gives you a link to this webpage where you can see all of the possible teams that you can join. Here they are. So pick a name from this page. What am I going to be today? I guess I'll be on the dev team. I think this is like dev.2. But pick a name from this page, and then in the chat. And hey, Bobhead with the $10 donation. What? Klein! No! That's too many bits, Klein. You can't do that. That's not legal. Thank you so much for the supports. Okay, so first of all, $10 donation from Bobhead, who says, currently 5 hours into your Oauth for noobs, and I love it. Well, thank you very much, Bob, for the tip. And then Klein with the 8,000 bits. Is this the most bits we've ever gotten? I think this might be. But I appreciate you, Klein. Thank you very much for your support and your kind words. I've seen the messages that you've sent. I appreciate you. Yeah, okay, where was I? We're gonna set my team. So if you do exclamation mark team followed by something from that page, and hey, thank you very much, Shebs, for the 100 bits. Daniel with the gifted subs. You're too kind. Thank you very much. But yeah, now once you set your team, it will show up in your messages, just like that. Yeah, some people got missed. You all are too kind. And then the last thing is you can set your status. So you can see that Drunk Time Lord has a status that says Python is better. Timon Dev has a status that says code with style. So if you want to set your status, you can do what I'm about to tell you, but I will preface it with it must be safe for work. If it is inappropriate in any way, you will be timed out and possibly banned. So be nice. So if you do exclamation mark set status followed by your status, mine is CJ is trying his best. Set status. Here we go. And now you can see my status underneath all of my messages. I think that's it. Just an old dev. What's up, Bachna now? I think it's time to say hi to everybody. What do you all think? Hacktoberfest, yeah, that's a thing. I like emojis in commit messages. I agree. They are beautiful. They're informative, or at least they should be. What's up, Jake? Edited you? Yes. Okay. We're going to say hi now. So if you type a message in the chat that matches this regular expression, word boundary followed by any one of these words, hi, hello, hey, morning, afternoon, evening, howdy, good day, coding hio, vohio, or bogahay, followed by word boundary. If you say any of these things, your message will be filtered here, and I will acknowledge you. I'm going to leave the chat over here so people know that this is live because, sound effects now. We're going back in time. We're going back in time to 24 minutes ago when CBA said hello there. What's up? And hey, Avi, how's it going? Welcome to the show. Hello to Felipe. Hello, hello. Marco with a $10 donation who says, hey, and Julian, thank you for those bits. What's up, Felipe? And Shaker Maker, and TGM, and Shekabil, and Kijroshi, and Marasha, and Coding Pasta, and Rate, and the Radium Man. Welcome to the show. Nubin, Boga, hey. Happy Friday. What's up, She.Moe? Hello, hello. What's up, I am Frustrated Coder. New here. Well, welcome. Welcome to the Coding Garden. Hello, Paramp. Hello, hello. What's up, Impy, and Ratty the Brand, and MRR, and Anger Pradana. Hello, friends. What's up, Timon Dev, and Matruska, and Masapa, and ACM, who says, how do I join the Coding Garden Code Wars clan? Is there any criteria? I don't think so. I think you literally just set your clan to Coding Garden. So if you go to Code Wars, and then like you go into your profile, give me a second. Let me hide my screen. But thank you, Shebsa, for the 100 bits. Something like this. Maybe like account settings. Yeah. I can show this. That's all you got to do. You just put the word Coding Garden. Anybody can join the clan, and it just makes it so that we can see a leaderboard with everyone that's in the clan. For the most part. Yeah. Cool. What's up, Danny Larn? And D-Hugh, good morning. Hello, what's up, Awaited? And Folky Bits and Copper, hello, hello. What's up, Danielle? And King Rapula. And Unfair. And Tuzio, hello, hello. Yeah, right now we're on a one stream a week schedule. It'll change soon, hopefully. I've got a project at work that has a 9 a.m. stand-up every day, and that is about to be over. So it'll be easier for me to stream in the mornings. So, I don't know. What's up, Jakob, who says, favorite dev, thank you. Hello, Ally Post, or Ally Post. I'm going to go with Ally Post. Hello, John. What's up, Kiratazarabar? Kiratozarab from Brazil. Hello. Hello, hello. What's up, Fystran? Boga, hey. Hello, Lukakatan. I don't know why I'm having a hard time this morning. What's up, Aknat now? And SJ Cool, and Miguel, and Erhan. What's up, Program Deleted, and Sasala, and Karate Wump, and NovaScript, and Mark, and Bump, and Syntax Wax, and Colloquial Owl. Good morning, morning, morning. What's up, Coding 60 Plus? Yeah, it's our live streams are rare these days. What's up, I am? Who says, please stream, try to stream more. I'm trying, sort of. I mean, I'm just really busy. That's all it is. And what's up, PD Rasta, and Dev M, and Drunk Time Lord, and Don, and Hackerman, and Shebza, and Karan, and Gwenard. I've been watching Twitter for Cats. Very cool. That's a pretty popular one of my videos on YouTube. Oh yeah, and somebody earlier mentioned. Do we have a... Yes, we do have a YT command. Someone mentioned they were watching my Oauth for Noob streams. If you're interested in that kind of thing, or other things, check out my YouTube channel. Well, hello there, SimSim. What's up, TheOxD? And Ashish. Been watching your videos continuously. Very cool. What's up, Kronos? And hey, Aknot now. Thank you for the 10 bits. Who says, what's the method of sending money? There's a Streamlabs donation link. Do we not have a command for that? Tip. Give CJ money. I guess we don't have a command for that, but it's streamlabs.com/codinggarden with CJ. And then you can give a tip here. Mods, if you would be so kind, create that command if you could. And what's up, DeQuadro, and Vicious, and CM Chris Jones, and ST Gonzalez. Hello, hello. What's up, DeWanch? I just increased my Wi-Fi speed to see you in 1080. Nice! That's awesome. What's up, Easy and GM Awesome and Fido and Lou? What's up, Fat Man and Tufox and Daniel Garden and Waterleet and Floxy and Pip Developer and Mystic and Martin and Dario and Caring Developer and Satya and Cadillac Jack. What's up, Julian and Deep Space and Sequel, Gortster and Ethereal Assembly, Boga Hey. What's up, it's Chip and Skrrr from the Philippines. Welcome to the show. What's up, Eschaye? B for Vrenny, how's it going? Klein, thank you for your support. And look at that really cool badge that you got. That's a really nice badge. I appreciate you. And what's up, Roos and Ghost Kid Cool and Cloud Gator. Hello, hello. What's up, Huar and Eddie and Zavio and Bite Push and MMG and Coffee Boy. What's up, Skywalkie? Finally, a Q&A. I'm going to do my best to give you answers. What's up, Lazul? First time. Welcome, welcome. Hello, Coding with Lolo. From Switzerland, it says, Grüezi. I don't know if I said that right, but hi. Welcome to the show. What's up, Punchu? My schedule right now is one stream on Fridays. It should change soon. We'll see. What's up, Diploidal? And Daesh and Nanocode and Albatron. Welcome to the show. And hello, Hamza and Noob Clapper and Clyde Korea. Hello. That's it. We've done it. That was a pretty fast saying hello to everyone. If I have not acknowledged you and you would like me to acknowledge you, you can say any of these words right now, and I will acknowledge you. What's up, Mr. Demon Wolf? I don't know if you said a hello message. What's up, Angus Miguel? Welcome to the show. My pronunciation was pretty good. Cool. What's up, Ken? Howdy, howdy. And Fame Shark. And Michael. Hi. Welcome to the show. Awesome. Let's get into it. Apparently redemptions are working again. This was broken last time, but it looks like they're working. I'm gonna assume that they're working. Thank you for the stretch, Gennard. Oh, I don't think it did, Igor. So we talked about this a while back. My backend uses Twitch usernames instead of Twitch IDs, which I know is not a good thing. So it's very likely that they were not kept. Quick stretch from Erhan. Thank you, Erhan. Mr. Demon Wolf with the hydrate. Cheers. And TGM as well. Cheers. Yeah, see, it didn't keep it. The main reason I was matching things by username is because the Twitch API has an endpoint which accepts a username. They also have an endpoint which accepts an ID. I don't know. I have no excuse. for not doing that. Thank you very much for that tip, CloudGator. It'll take me a second to read this. Hope you're able to use this for an appropriate 9 a.m. stand-up meeting refreshment. Thanks for giving so much of your time. Thank you. Here's the thing. I like this drink. You all know, if you've been here a while, you know that I like this drink. It has increased in price by $1. It is $1 more per can. Which, I mean, I can still pay for it. It's not that much, but still, I think they've seen that I have been buying these in bulk basically since the pandemic started, and they've increased the price by $1. But I appreciate you. So that $5 will get me 1.5 yerba mates. Thank you very much. It's a yerba mate. We have an emote for it, pixelized version of it. There it is. How dare they? I mean, you know, they're a business just trying to make money. Avi says, can I promote my website and my status? I'll say, yes, you, Avi, can, because I know you and I know your website. Blackberry, thank you for the Twitch Prime sub. But anyone else, you don't do that. Ask first. And what's up, Marco, with the $5 tip? Thank you very much. Here's some for the next can. So with $10, so I'll tell you, this is $2.99 a can. Which, I mean, when you think about it, people drink Starbucks in the morning, and that's what, like $5? I don't know. I don't do Starbucks. I don't do coffee. And this is my morning drink. It's about that price. I could just brew it myself. I don't know. It's really good. All right, let's get right into it. So for those of you just joining us, we're going to be answering questions. You can go here, vox.coding.garden. And in the chat, if you have a question, you can do !ask with your question. It'll show up on that website. Similarly, you can upvote existing questions, and you can also comment on existing questions. So let's get right into it. How many cans per day? Just one. It's a lot of caffeine, so I drink one in the morning. Yeah. Okay. And if you have asked a question, type ! here in the chat, and those questions will bubble up to the top. Here we go. First question from Awaited. How do you request Google to increase your quota for YouTube data API as an individual instead of a business? I have no idea. So I never had to do this. So if you are familiar with the history of Coding Garden, I used to stream on YouTube, and I was using the YouTube API to be able to show a chat overlay very similar to this. And I never hit my quotas, so I never had to increase it. So I have no idea. But I could search the web for you. Let's take 1 minute to try and find the answer. Here we go. YouTube API increase quota individual. Is there any way to increase the YouTube API v3 quota limits? There's an elaborate form for applying for a higher quota. I think we found it. So this reason for filling this form, quota extension request. About your organization, your legal name, your organization's name. Yeah, I see what you mean, because this is not for an individual. It's talking about an organization. But I would just say put your personal email, and under like organization name, just do like NA. I would say just do this and hope for the best. And then if they get back to you, they'll probably get back to you with something else. Mr. Sidster, thank you for that $5 donation. Who says, at that point in the video, you talk about setting up a backend server that will generate a unique ID for every user. You eventually did not do it in that video. Do you have another project in which you show that? What video is this? Let me see if I can extract this link. Benjamin French, thank you for that 4-month resub, who says, yeet, yeet. And also, Funny Boy Rocks, thank you for the gifted sub to Cadillac Jack. Much appreciated. Here we go. Chillstream, building a Twitch overlay game with vanilla JS. I don't know, but I think this is the answer to your question, which is fill out the form, just put NA, and hope for the best. Because I honestly, I've never done it, and yeah, I don't know. Thank you for your question, Awaited. And I think I copied this. Yeah, so this is the video that, who was that? Mr. Sidster asked about. Let's see what Past CJ said, because I don't remember that. It's just going to be super simple, but then we'll set up a backend server that will listen for Twitch chats and then emit socket events to the client. But what that'll allow us to do is deploy this thing, and then anybody... Gak BL, thank you for that 5-month resub. Hype, thank you very much. Anybody can add it to their channel. So we'll essentially be able to generate a unique URL for the user's channel, and then they can put that URL in their OBS, and they have their own drop game. Yes. Okay, I see what you're saying. I never did this. I mentioned that I would do it, but I never did it. But what I will tell you is that if you check out pixelplush.dev, so this is Instafluff's game studio, he has a very similar drop game. So he's got Pixel Parachute, and actually this is basically the original drop game. He's got Pixel Parachute, and there's a few different versions, but if you click on them, this will generate a unique link that you can use in your stream. So that's the answer, is use Instafluffs instead. Thank you for your question. Check that out. Okay. Yeah, you're welcome. Am I familiar with Dino? I tried it once, but that's about it. I haven't really touched it since the V1 release. Question from Skywalky. What do you recommend for a total beginner in the web dev field to start with? I recommended a friend of mine starting with Free Code Camp and then try some Skillshare or Udemy courses for some JavaScript frameworks. Yeah, I think that's perfectly fine. Free Code Camp is a good on-ramp for non-technical people. It's totally free. And it's very guided. Oh, wait, are they making you log in just to see the curriculum? No, you can click here. Okay, click there, and you can see the curriculum. But it's a totally free curriculum. What I tell a lot of people that are just starting out is you could use this as a guide. You don't necessarily have to use their embedded lessons, but just seeing all the different things that they teach you and the different projects that you're assigned is a good guide for yourself to potentially... You could like look at this and look at this lesson, set the idea of an element, and then you could find some YouTube video that teaches you about that thing. But this basically tells you the kind of things that you need to learn, which is pretty cool. What else did you say? I need a way of pinning a message. Can you type exclamation mark here? Here, Skywalking. And hey, Florin, thank you for the 500 bits. Who says, nice to see you again. Yeah, thank you for being here. Thanks for the bits. Yeah, Free Code Camp is a good place to start. It is a good roadmap. And then, yeah, you can find a course on Skillshare or Udemy. I do have a list of resources that I recommend on the frequently asked questions. And I did a short YouTube video about it. Tech preferences. What are some good resources to learn to code? Free Code Camp, the Odin Project, Khan Academy, definitely Coding Train, who I think is, well, actually, he is live, but he's live for members only, I think. But yeah, my answer is Free Code Camp is good. Yeah, that's it. All right, next question. How to store an external JSON web token and use it through your website using just Node and Express at the moment. So I think what you're asking, and please correct me if I'm wrong, is you've integrated with some external API and you're like authing with that API, and that API returns a token for your user to use with that API. Is that accurate? You're using the WordPress API, right? And so you have to log in. That has a token for the user, and now you're trying to figure out how do you use that token in your app. Is that what you're asking? And I may just have to implement pinning messages today because this keeps happening. Yeah. Aknot, there's so many tips today, and I appreciate you. Thank you all very much for the money. You're just throwing money at me, and I really appreciate it. I have the token when I log in. I just need how to store it. I take it with plain vanilla. Okay, so because you're potentially not in control of the server that could like set a cookie, your best bet is likely local storage. Now, there's a lot of debate on whether or not you should use local storage to store JSON web tokens, but if you're not in control of the server and you can't put that token in a cookie, then you're going to have to use something like local storage, because what you do is you log in, you get back the token, you put it in local storage, and then all subsequent requests on the client side include that token in the authorization header. And if the user refreshes the page, that value is still in local storage, and so you can do that. But yeah. WordPress generates a cookie, but not on my Node app. Yeah, and so you could basically set that cookie as well. So you could put the JSON web token in a cookie, but yeah. How often do you need to refresh those tokens? It depends on your implementation. Like if you're using the WordPress Auth API, they probably have a way of setting the expiration on the token, like how long does it last, and if and once it expires, the server will just now reject it if you try to send that token. And so one strategy people use is they have a very short lifetime of the token, like the token only lasts an hour, and every hour, if the user is logged in and they make a request, you generate a new token that expires an hour from now. But if they don't, then that token is now expired and they'd have to relog in. So that's like a simplification of it all. But yeah, I would say just use local storage. They have a refresh endpoint, which you can access. It's a custom JWT auth, not the normal one. Oh, okay. I see. So you might have to integrate that as well, where your backend refreshes their token. Yeah. Okay. Hopefully that sends you in the right direction. There's other things to talk about, but yeah. Is local storage insecure? I wouldn't say it's insecure. I would say because JavaScript has access to local storage, JavaScript, if your site is vulnerable to cross-site scripting, otherwise known as cross-site scripting, so if your site is vulnerable and someone is able to execute a malicious script on your website, they could potentially access local storage and access the token that is stored there. That's why people potentially don't want to put it in local storage. But I would say if you can be sure that your site is not vulnerable to cross-site scripting, just use local storage. It makes it a whole lot easier. One of the benefits of JSON Web Tokens is it has potentially can have like user and profile information embedded inside of it, which means that your front end potentially doesn't have to make a request to the back end to just show basic user information. The other aspect of JSON Web Tokens is you absolutely don't store any secret information in there because you can literally see everything that's inside of the token. You don't put passwords, you don't put emails, you don't put phone numbers, anything that you wouldn't want leaked, you don't put in there. I don't know. I'm going to stop talking about it because it's a deep topic. Cool. Hopefully that helps. Feel free to ask in the Discord if you need more clarification. All right. We're going to take a poll right now. Should I implement question pinning right now? Yes. No. What? And what I mean by that is, as you can see, the question that I'm answering like slowly disappears or moves around because other questions are being asked. But what I could do is I could add a little button that pins it. And so the current question that I'm answering will automatically be at the top for anybody that goes to the page. That's what I potentially will implement. You have 1 minute to vote on if we should take the time to implement that. Vote now. If you're on mobile, click the top. You can see the little voting thing. In the chat, you can also do /vote followed by either 1, 2, or 3. Yes, why not? I mean, the reason why not is because it's going to take time and I won't actually have time to, I won't have as much time to answer questions. But I mean, that's a lot of yes votes. What's up, Derpy? How do you feel about learning Golang in today's environment? I have no idea. I'm not very familiar with the Golang ecosystem. But I mean, Go in general seems cool. Yeah, it's not zero-based index. It's 1, 2, 3, not 0, 1, 2. Yeah. What do I think of P5? You asked that question here. I'll answer it really quick. Because that was like literally at the top. What do I think of P5? It's cool. I'm rewriting the job game in P5. I think it's a great tool for learning JavaScript. It's a great creative coding tool. It simplifies a lot of things that would be harder. Hey, Revive Newt, thank you for that tier 3 resub. Long time no see. Yeah. No, I'm not in trouble. I'm just busy, but I appreciate you. Thank you for that resub. But yeah, P5 is great. If you like the coding train, you can... If you don't like it, you like the coding train, go watch the coding train, learn about P5, and rate. Thank you for the 99 bits. I appreciate you. But yeah, my thoughts are that it's cool for creative coding. It's a nice abstraction on top of Canvas. Those are my thoughts. All right. I believe it won. Yes, the answer is yes. So let's write some code. Basically, what I need to do is I need a backend route so that I can update an asked question and set a property on it like pinned. And then, yeah, something like that. Shubsa, thank you for that subscription. I appreciate you. Yeah, and shout out to Schiefman from the coding train, right quick. Schiefman, check him out. Great way to learn JavaScript, P5 programming, all that good stuff. Check it out. Yeah, so I need a backend route that'll allow it to be updated, and then the front end will need to filter by things that have a pinned property. Something like that. My question from long ago bumped up. Oh yeah, it's just the sorting order because you're here, and it was asked a month ago, but yeah, it's still there. They're ordered by oldest to newest. Well, it's subs, then non-subs, but within that, it's ordered by votes, then oldest to newest. And so because this has 1 vote, it's at the top, but because yours is the oldest, it's also at the top. You asked a new question. Oh, it's because it's newer, so it's all the way at the bottom of the list of questions that have been asked. So I still see your older one at the top. Okay, let's write some code. I'm gonna hide my screen just for a second, make sure I'm not revealing any secrets. And then I'm going to inspect my backend code because I'm pretty sure I have an update route for messages. Or do I? Mm-hmm. 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 Okay, let's do it. So this is the code for the backend. I have this it's a Feathers.js application. This is a service called the Vox Populi service, and it's in charge of taking any of the questions that have been asked, which get first fed into the Twitch command service. So there's a service that's listening for any message that starts with an exclamation mark, and that's taking all of those in. And then if any of those commands match the regular expressions for Vox, which we've talked about, then it gets created here in the Vox Populi service. And so when we create, what do? Oh, we actually insert it into the cached data, because we do like on the initial find, we do like a computed value that gets all of the stuff from the database, organizes it, and then from then on out, it just modifies that thing in memory instead of recomputing this every time. Cool. But what we need is an update method, or like a patch method. And what that needs to do is just update the like a pinned property to true. And so I'm the only user that has access to these methods, like create or patch, because I don't want anybody just updating things, and I'll show you where those permissions are set. But I think for now I could literally just update it in the messages service, I think. So I could do something like this. Let's see if the Twitch command service has an update method. Command service. So it has a create. It does have a patch. Yeah, find one and update. It just sets the updates. Great. So I think we'll have to patch it because it's actually stored in here. So here's what we're going to do. When you update a Vox thingy, under the hood, it's just going to call the Twitch command service and do a patch. And then it looks for the ID. So I think it should just be message.id. And then, so it's something like ID and then message, or like updates. Something like that. So this service calls another service because this service doesn't do any storing itself. I think that'll do it. I'm honestly just gonna I'm just gonna code it, push it to production, and see if it works. But yeah, that should update it in the database, and then when and then I can listen for when it's been updated. But also, I guess once it's been updated, I need to update it in the cache data, I believe. Production-driven development. Yep. Push to prod without testing. Absolutely. It's just that kind of day. So, yeah, it gets created. What could go wrong? I think the main thing is I need to update it in the in-memory object, because the in-memory object has a list of all questions, ideas, and submissions. Comments, upvotes. Am I setting a type on here? I don't think I am. Production-driven development is greater than test-driven development. Yeah, but I think what I need to do is something like this, all by number, message.number, and then update it to have those latest. I think that's literally all I need to do, because that updates it in memory. So check it. Patch is going to call the other service, and this is an async method, so patch it. We can do something like this. Ultimately, we're going to return that patched value, but we're going to say if patch.num is a thing, then this.allbynum at patch.num equals that. So we're going to replace it in the in-memory store. Why set instead of an object? Where am I using a set? I didn't see that. I don't know what you mean. Am I using a set anywhere? Oh, here. This finds unique upvotes, because people could potentially try to upvote things multiple times. I think that's the only place I'm using a set. All right, I'm going to assume that this code is just going to work. And what that now allows is for an admin user, well, I have to make sure that it's only admin users, but an admin user can update a specific command. All right, now let's check the permissions. So where all of this is mounted, the Vox Populi service. So before create internal only, what I want to say is before patch, verify API key. And what this will do is before allowing someone to call patch on the Vox Populi service, you must have a valid API key, which is just me because there's one admin API key. Cool. And then what about the command service? So patching a command also requires you verifying the API key. So that should do it. That's our security. Code is assumed to work until proven otherwise. Exactly. So we have verified the security. We have a backend endpoint that's going to do the actual update. Now we need to update the front end. And the front end just needs to make a call and set like a pinned property to true. And it's MongoDB, so we can set whatever properties we want. So I think this is a thing. Let me hide my screen and make sure there's nothing secret in here. Should be fine. So this is the front end. It's a Vue.js application. I'm going to need a method that pins a message. So right now I have this archive method that is what gets called whenever I click the X to archive something. And I want a similar method that's something like pin. And it's going to be Vox populi service.patch. Wait, what? Oh, yeah, patch. Pass in the query. Do I pass in the, so right here I would say like pinned true? I think that's how I do it. I need to go look at the Feathers.js documentation to see how a patch works. But patch the message with this ID and set pinned equal to true. I think that's it, but let's go to Feathers. And we can look at their client docs. API. Feathers client. Well, I mean, technically it's like a service running on the client, because service.patch. Yeah. So ID data params should be fine. It should be fine. So we on the front end, we have a function called pin. When it gets called, it updates it on the back end. That will emit an event that it has been patched. And then we need to update it. So we actually need to listen for when things are patched as well. There's a lot of code here. A lot of code, but it's going to work first try. We're not going to have to change anything. Let's see where on removed is used. Yeah, so Vox populi service on patched. This dot update message. And does that exist? It doesn't. So I'm going to need a method called update message. Patch. Arg. And this basically, I think we have messages sorted by their message number, I think. What does process message do? Sets the time. Yeah, this all by num here. So I think in patch, all we got to do is say if this all by num at message.num, then we just replace it. So that should be fine. That updates it on the front end. Great. Now, all we need is a computed property that only shows messages that have a pinned value. So right here we have sorted items, all by number. I think we just need another computed property that is pinned, all pinned messages. And actually, wait, is this over this? What is all by num? Never mind. This is a computed property. So I don't think we can overwrite it. On an earlier thing that we did, I'm not worried about unpin because I'm just going to I'm going to archive it once I'm ready to unpin it. So, well, thank you, Oddway. Thanks for being here. That update message function I think is broken. This one, because this is technically a computed property, meaning we can't overwrite it. But what we can do is we got to find it. This is the tricky part. We don't know if the pinned thing is a question, a submission, or an idea. Item.num is equal to message.num. like this. I'm confusing myself. So I think basically we have arrays of messages, right? And what we need to do is we need to see if the message that was updated is in any of those arrays. And if it is, change it or update it inside of that. So I basically need to search through all three: questions, submissions, and ideas to see if it is of that type. So we have questions, submissions, and ideas. There should be overlay music. Something like this. So if we found it, then, I mean, honestly, the only updates that are happening right now are pinning messages. I'm going to write some very brittle code. And it's brittle in that it only is going to update the pinned property. So we'll say, if we found it, then... actually, no, we'll do this. If it wasn't found, try to find it here. And if it wasn't found in there, try to find it in here. Are there events happening? Fight. I missed that. Thank you for the 6-month resub. Shebsa, thank you for the tier 1 sub. Did I miss these? I don't know. That was 16 minutes ago. I appreciate you, though. Elsif. Elsif. Yes, Elsif. Okay, and then after all of that, if we did find it, we're just going to update the pinned property. So this is view 2, and in view 2, if you want to add a property to a reactive object, you have to use this $sign set. You can't just add a new property. But we're going to say found set pin to true. That should do it. And now we need a computed property with all the pinned messages. And they won't be sorted, they'll just be pinned. And I think that's fine. And it's going to be something like this. So pinned needs to return an array with all of these in it, where any item is pinned. Like that. Right? The stream is going on a wrong highway. So here's the thing. I'm gonna literally push this code to production without even running it. And if it works, I want you all to go wild. I want you all to just go wild. So find all questions where it's pinned, find all submissions where it's pinned, find all ideas where it's pinned. And that should do it. And so this is a computed property, meaning that this array will be recalculated anytime any one of these arrays change. Or there are nested data changes. A filter instead of a find? You're right. Yes, this needs to be a filter because it needs to return an array. Thank you very much, Erhan. It would have broke. It would have broke. All right, so filter the messages. That's great. Now we just need to display the pinned messages in the UI. And that will go here. But also, this is really, we tried rewriting this code at one point and we never did. I'll say this should be a component. This absolutely needs to be a component, but it's not. And that's fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to literally copy paste the code. And you can't stop me. So this div is for a message. And actually, we're going to do this. We're going to literally copy and paste this entire transition group. Triple cookie surprise. So this entire group just gets put right above all of the tabs. So you have a div class tabs. We'll have a div class of pinned. Just paste it right in. And now the only difference is the v4 is going to be on message in pinned. That's it. Oh God, why? Because I can. Because I'm allowed to. I can do whatever I want. Okay, so there's pinned. No. There's no way it's gonna work on the first try. I think the only issue we might run into is styles, because I don't know. No, it'll just work. Let's deploy it. Done. Here's for hoping. Push. First try? I don't know. We'll see. I need to push the backend code too. That if else is gonna fail. Which one? The update message one? This one? If it wasn't found, try to find it there. Deep space, please clarify. I mean, I've already pushed. There's no going back. I'm just gonna deploy now. Yeah, so what I'm about to do is I'm gonna log into the server, run the build, and it'll restart the API. Oh! Yeah, you're totally right. And thank you, Shot in the Dark, for that Twitch Prime sub. Yeah. No, you're totally right. It actually needs to be just if here. There should not be an else if. Yeah. You're right, because if it wasn't found, try to find it, and then try to see. Otherwise, it wouldn't have run. It's fine. Okay, that was a good fix. Good call. I mean, honestly, it basically just would have looked at questions, which is all I'm looking at, anyways. But it's fine. Maybe. Okay. I didn't deploy yet. No, I'm about to deploy. I just pushed to git. That doesn't mean I deployed. All right. Still looks wrong to me. I don't know what to tell you. All right, see you later, Rate. Thanks for hanging out with us. Don't do it. No, I'm about to do it. And here's the thing. There are roughly 300 people watching right now, which means that I am potentially going to break an application that like a few hundred people are on right now, which sounds fun to me. You know, we don't get to do that all the time. Don't do it. Let your dreams be dreams. Oh! I mean, we didn't add a button to actually pin the message. We did not add a button to pin the message. I totally forgot. All right, so we can't try the app yet. We need to add the button for pinning. Third try. No. I mean, okay. So, on a given message, wait. Okay. So this is for the pinned messages. We don't want that. What we want is this one. So if you're an admin, we have a delete button. Great. And then also we're going to have a pin button. Pin button. And here we're going to say pin message. Is that what we called the function? That button will be next sprint, yeah. Yeah, we have a function called pin. So in our template, when we click this button, we should pin it. Now we just need an SVG for that. I think these SVGs came from Feather icons, not related to Feathers.js. This is open source icons. Do we have a pin? A thumb. I don't want that kind of pin. I want like a thumbtack pin. I guess I could do star. Let's do a star. I'm just literally going to grab the SVG code for this. Tack. Tack. All right, there's that SVG. Copy outer HTML. And that is going to go right about here. Cool. Should be fine. Now we need our CSS. Let's see what we did for delete button. Margin top, position absolute, top. Okay, so if the delete button is there, let's actually change this to icon. So we can reuse this. So we'll put the icon class on both of these. And then the pin button has the same margin top, the same top, but right, let's do, oh man. I mean, honestly, I want a container. Call this action buttons, and that's the container. And it's just a little flex box. And then we put these in a little div called action buttons. Oh. I should look for disk. Now it will break 100%. It should be fine. Action buttons. It's at the top right in terms of positioning. No, I don't like that. Actually, we'll just set the top. We'll set the width to be 100%. And then it'll have a justify content of flex end. So it pushes all the buttons to the end. Yeah, and then each icon will have a little bit of margin. All right, perfect. This is gonna do it. Let's commit and push. Welcome back, John. We're about to deploy to production without testing our code. So here's the thing. We made CSS changes without testing them as well. We're just gonna hope that that they work. Display none, important. Okay, so that's pushed up. Get ready, everyone. Get ready. All right. This is the deployed website. Our buttons are way over here. But do they work? So, For whatever reason, they got put way, way, way too far to the right. They're still there, though. Okay, but I clicked the button and nothing happened. Let's see if we get any errors. So I want to click this button. Nothing's happening. This is the result. This is the result of our push to production without actually trying. Test fail. Yeah. Definitely has failed. Does the X button still work? The X button still works. Okay. It's literally not even running the function. I mean, I don't see any logs at all. Hard refresh. The with 100% was a mistake. Yeah. Oh, I deleted a question without acknowledging it. Sorry. Feel free to re-ask your question. Okay, we need to debug this. Solid attempt. We tried. Here's the thing. The API is still deployed and in production, but I am gonna run this app locally so we can debug the pinning issue. And locally, all I gotta do, I think, is just force it to use the API. Though I'm gonna need to set my thing. It's the API is vox.coding.garden. All right. Right now, this is just hosted on an AWS Lightsail instance that's configured with Nginx for like a static host. What are you all trying to do? What are you doing? Okay. Okay, so we've got it running locally, and I'm clicking this button and nothing is happening. First of all, let's take a look at the markup. So when this is clicked, call the pin function with message. That's what should be happening. So let's just make sure that pin function is getting called. So in our methods, we have a function called pin. Oh, I think I know what it is. You see how I'm doing message_ID? On my backend, I'm just doing message.id, and it's possible that nothing is happening. So we'll say pinning message there. So let's make sure that this function is actually running. And it is. That's great. And then I think that's the issue. It needs to be _ID. Because if I look at my backend code really quick, I think I just use .id. And so it's technically working, but it's updating, it's not finding it because it doesn't have the right ID. Oh no. So patch it with ID and updates. So that should be passed in the right ID. And then I'll show you what I'm looking at. So this is the backend thing that we're calling. In the command service, oh, it's looking for the specific ID instead of underscore ID. Huh. Does this even work? When is this even used? I think it needs to be that. I think that's it. This is our fix. That's a question I ask a lot as well. All right, let's fix the CSS while we're here. Okay, and over here, we made these action buttons have a width of 100%. Let's see what happens if we don't do that. Yeah. So I think we just need to do top left 0.5. Well, if we do left, no, right. We do right. And they're all going to be, oh, no, that did it. Beautiful. All right, that's what we needed. Easy. Okay. Let me deploy the backend, and then it's all just going to work. You watch and see. Actually, that's fine. I was going to say we could show the pinned messages as a different color, but I'm not going to worry about it. Do I change the pin icon when the message is pinned? Oh, because I copy and pasted the code before adding the pinned messages don't have a pin icon, which is good. Okay, I'm gonna deploy. If you're on the web page, you will see that it mostly worked. It works. So now the pinned messages appear at the top, and anybody that comes to this page should see. Oh no, okay. So it's not updating it behind the scenes, which I think is fine. It's gonna pin it for me right now, so I don't lose it. So if you've asked a question in the chat, type ! here, and your questions will bubble up to the top. Cool. The other thing is I'm going to fix the button really quick. So would I recommend learning Docker and Kubernetes as a full stack developer? Let's answer this question from Mr. Demon Wolf. Look at that. Pin messages now appear at the top. Though we probably should hide them here if they're pinned. It doesn't matter. This is the base functionality that I needed. And then will I be able to position this? It's fine. We're going to leave that out of place because we didn't wrap this in action buttons, so now it's over to the left. It's fine. Okay, let's answer this question. Would I recommend learning Docker and Kubernetes as a full stack developer? I'd say yeah. I actually don't know much about Kubernetes, but I think it's worth learning. Docker itself is a great tool for like local development, and then eventually for like scaling your app with something like Kubernetes. But for local development, it's great. Yes, I would recommend it. All right, and I'll look at CBA's question. How do you implement Oauth using Capacitor if an opened window doesn't have window.opener? You probably need to use deep linking. Hey, Ucore. Thank you very much for that Twitch Prime sub. I appreciate you. Kubernetes. Yeah, so first of all, what are they talking about here? So OAuth is a way of authorizing users via some other website or service. Capacitor is a tool for building hybrid mobile applications. Native applications that are basically just a web page, but you have access to native features. What they're talking about is with OAuth, typically a window opens, the user needs to click allow or something like that. And then if they click allow, they get redirected back to your app and they're now logged in. But with Capacitor, you're opening a window, you don't have window.opener. I think you might use deep linking. So if we check out Capacitor.js, they likely have a plugin for deep linking. And basically what it allows you to do is, I mean, this is for any native app. You get to have a custom URL or a custom protocol that you register with your app. So something like, yeah, this is saying that's the app link is something.app. And so on the device, if they ever attempt to open a URL with something.app, then it automatically opens it inside of the app. So basically what could happen is if it opens a browser window, when the link redirects to their embedded nested link, it will actually open a view inside of your mobile app. I think. What is deep linking? Deep linking. Yeah, exactly. So like if you click a Spotify link and you have Spotify installed, it actually opens the app itself. Handling Android app links. Users follow links on devices having one goal in mind: to get the content they want to see. As a developer, you can set up Android app links to take users to a link-specific content directly in your app. So I think this is the way to go. I don't think I'd have time to come up with a code sample, but I think this is what you want to look into, because basically, since you don't have access to window.opener, what you need to do is redirect them to a URL that opens inside of your app. I think that's the answer. Oh yeah, and I forgot to pin this. Yeah, it's pinned. Now it's gone. Thank you for your question. For those of you just joining us, if you have a question, you can type !ask in the chat followed by your question. I'll do my best to answer it. Top question from Lakshman. Hello, Lakshman, who says, can we predict the random number in any programming language that appears using the random function? It's possible, sort of. So in programming, random numbers are pseudo-random. They typically have what's known as a seed value. And with that same seed value, they potentially generate the same random number based off of that seed. So yes, if you potentially know what the seeded value was, you could potentially predict it, because it is what's known as pseudo-random. Pseudo-random. Pseudo-randomness. Almost random. Random numbers in programming. Let's see if we can find a good article on this. I mean, the first sentence seems good. First off, it's not really possible nor desirable to have real random numbers. What we want is a repeatable sequence of seemingly random numbers that satisfy certain properties, such as the average value of a list of random numbers between, say, 0 and 1,000 should be 500. Other properties, such as no predictable relation, all that good stuff. So pseudo-random number sequences. Generating a single random number is easy. 27. There. It actually reminds me of XKCD. the dice roll. Yeah. So we wrote a function, get random number, return 4, chosen by fair dice roll, guaranteed to be random. Yeah, so that talks about all that. Language specific functions. So MATLAB is like a kind of like a scientific computing data science-y kind of thing that you can write code in. But it says MATLAB's random number generation function is called rand. In MATLAB, the rand function returns a floating point number between 0 and 1. Cool. But yeah, it is possible to predict. I don't have an example of like doing it in JavaScript. But this is probably a good one. Random number generation is a process which through a device generates a sequence of numbers or symbols that cannot be reasonably predicted better than by a random chance. Yeah. What if I search for like the problem with math.random? MATLAB is hey, it's fine. I know files are literally just C code. Oh, interesting. The problem with math.random. Oh no, they literally have a problem with it. But basically, like in secure applications, you shouldn't use math.random. Like in a secure JavaScript application, you shouldn't use math.random. There is now there's a crypto module built into the browser that has more random numbers. And in Node, there's a crypto module that has like random numbers. Pseudo-random number. The implementation selects the initial seed to be the random number generation algorithm. It cannot be chosen or reset by the user. Yeah, so in JavaScript, you actually can't choose your seed value, but in other languages, you can choose your seed value. And I'm just talking about the math.random one. So math.random does not provide cryptographically secure random numbers. Do not use them for anything related to security. Use the web crypto API instead, and more precisely, the crypto.getRandomValues method. So basically, the answer to your question, Lakshman, is yes. I don't have any code examples, but yes, it is possible. And that's because they're pseudo-random, not actually that random. And if you really do want them to not be predictable, you should be using something from a crypto API. Yeah, the crypto module in Node.js is literally just called crypto. It's a core module. And then in the browser, it's just called crypto. And you can see where it's supported. Web cryptography. It has partial support in IE11. That's interesting. I think it can be potentially polyfilled as well. Okay. Thank you for your question. Next question. What service do I use for SSL certificates for personal projects? I'll say I use Let's Encrypt for personal and professional projects. Let's Encrypt is great. It's by the Electronic Frontier Foundation. I think. Or maybe they're a major sponsor. EFF, these guys. But it's awesome, and it's a legitimate security authority, so you can use it on a professional website as well, and it's totally free, which is nice. All right, let's keep going. What bootcamp do I recommend for a guy that works full-time? Potentially try to find something online or like night classes. I don't really know the bootcamp. I worked at a bootcamp, but that's all I know about them. I don't really know. Yeah, I don't have experience with other ones, but I would recommend potentially something that you can do in your spare time. Like I'll say it's really hard to do with a full-time job. So when I worked at a coding bootcamp, pretty much we did not want our students to have any kind of job because you couldn't dedicate your full attention. And especially if it's a type of program that tries to cram a bunch of stuff in a short amount of time, you basically just have to be dedicated to that thing for a very short amount of time. And by short, I mean 6 months. Now, it's also possible to not do basically like a cram boot camp like that and you just do it in your spare times. But I will say, like, even 6 months of full-time learning to code bootcamp, there's still a lot you don't learn, and you learn enough to get a job, but there's still a lot that you don't know. There's still a lot that I don't know. So not doing it full-time, in my mind, is tricky. But you can find potentially programs that are like asynchronous, meaning that like you don't have to start with a class. You just kind of sign up. They have the assignments, and you do them at your leisure, which I'll say is probably going to be hard if you are doing it in your spare time. And it's gonna take longer than like just 6 months because you are just doing it in your spare time. But short answer, I can't recommend any, but I would look into some. I mean, I guess right now most things are online anyways because of the pandemic, but look into some of them that can do it totally online. I would say if you can afford to pay for it. Try to avoid the programs that take a cut of your salary later on, because you end up paying a lot more in your salary if you do that. But if you can't afford it, then that's a great way to go as well. Yeah. Hopefully that answers your question, Klein. I'm trying to do a good job because you've given me a lot of money. I want to make this answer worth your money and time. Yeah. I don't know. Feel free to message me on Discord as well. If you're trying to decide between a few of them, I can at least give you my opinion on that. All right, next question we're going to skip the subs. We're going to go to a non-sub question from ShakerMaker. How can we get Vuex view router to work with TypeScript? No matter what I do, I can't get any auto completion in VS Code. I can try to help. Are you here, ShakerMaker? Like, I realized that this was answered a week ago. Do you still have this question? An overdose of sadness. Thank you for that 2-month resub. Prime sub. Thank you. Yes. And you still have the question? You don't have a... Oh. This is likely because it uses the information when you ask the question. Our newer version doesn't do that, but I don't have the newer version working yet. Okay, let's try to set this up really quick. I think it's easy enough to do. Vuex and view router with TypeScript. I haven't done this yet, but I think this is going to be a fun little exercise because at least with Vue 3, should be possible. Let's do it. Who's ready to write some Vue code? Raise your hand. One. Okay, cool. So I have this folder. We're gonna do Vue create right here. Does that work? Cool. Generate it in the parent directory, yes. We're going to manually select our features. So we want TypeScript, we want a router, and we want Vuex. And basically, we want type completion with all of those things with TypeScript. Let's go. We're going to choose Vue 3 preview. I think, right, ShakerMaker, are you using Vue 3 or are you using Vue 2? Let me know. Vue 3, okay. Vue 3. Did he say Vue 3? Vue 3. But Vue 3 is they've done a lot of stuff to make sure that it works with TypeScript. So here it says use class style component syntax. I'm actually going to say no, and I'll show you. There's like the define component function, which gives us typings. That's fine. We're not going to use history mode. We're going to do ESLint plus prettier. And not lint on save. Dedicated config. Let's go. We can't see, says 2Fox. He's right here. What's up, Andrew? Welcome to the show. Got ourselves a Vue app. What is Vuex? Yeah, I'll talk about that really quick. So Vuex is global state management. Well, that's not it. Shaker Maker, thank you for the bits. Let's go. It's I don't know why it keeps pulling up Feathers Vuex, but it is global state management for your Vue application. If you're familiar with Redux, it's very similar to that, but it's built specifically for Vue. It's maintained by the core team. Yeah, Redux for Vue. It's a good way to put it. And yeah, that's about it. It's a state management pattern. You have all of your state at the top. You have mutations, which are functions that change your state. And then you also have actions, which are functions that potentially have side effects or make async calls that in turn call mutations, which update your state. Yeah, that's it. Sadid. That's a cool emote. Who's that from? Yummy Gaming, very cool. Sadid. Okay, yeah, so that's Vuex, and yeah, I'll show you really quick in the code. So this generated our Vue app. Let's serve it up. Yeah, and if even further back than that, if you don't know what Vue is, this is a front-end framework for building applications. It's very similar to React, but better in every way. So here we go. We have a Vue app. Now we want TypeScript completion. So let's open this thing up in VS Code. Cool. So in our source directory, we've got main.ts. Yeah, Vue is objectively better than React. Objectively. It's not an opinion. It's fact. Okay. And I'm only slightly joking, but if you look at our frequently asked questions, there's a few links to where I discuss that in depth. Better in every way. But if you look at the frequently asked questions under why do I prefer Vue, there's 2 links for you. You can watch that later on, and I'll tell you all the reasons why Vue is objectively and factually better than React, and that is not an opinion. First of all, I'm going to update my prettier RC. Or I'm going to create a prettier RC. Dot prettier RC? Yeah. Because I want... I triggered way too many people. Because I want single quotes. How does prettier RC work? Configuration file. Like this. I'm just going to stream promoting React. Feel free. Yeah, I mean, I write React code too. Two space tab, semicolons, and single quotes. All right, so that's our prettier. Let's run the linter and fix everything. Which I think uses prettier. Yeah, there we go. We got single quotes. Great. Great work, everyone. Okay, so entry point. This creates the Vue app. We use the store, we use the router, and then we mount the app. But basically what they're asking is if we look in the store, so this is Vuex, we can put our state, our mutations, our actions, and our modules. How do we get type completion here? And this is what we need to do. So first of all, in Vue 3, it has this create store function, and that has TypeScript typing. So if I remove all of these, I would get autocomplete that says like state, and I get a description of what that property should be. Or if I type like mutations, like that, this is actual IntelliSense. It knows that these are valid properties on create store. So first of all, make sure that you're using create store, because that's going to give you TypeScript typings. Second of all, you probably are breaking your state down into modules. Is that accurate? Can you tell me if you are doing that? Are you just putting everything at the root, or do you have modules for all of your nested stores? I'm gonna go ahead and assume that you have nested modules. So let's do this. We're gonna create a module called cool. I guess we'll just make a basic to-do app that uses the Vuex store. I guess, why not? So I'm gonna create a file called todo.ts. Now, all I mean by a module or a store module is that it's a specific thing that has its own state, mutations, and actions, but it's standalone. So this is very common in larger applications because you don't want to have the state of the entire app all in one place, because that could become really cumbersome. You have basically separate sections of your app that are each broke down into a module. Now I'm curious, does Vuex have a create module? They don't. But what I think all we have to do is just literally create a custom interface. So I'm going to have this this to-do store module, and it has state, mutations, and actions. I should probably look at the docs for this, but I'm gonna give it a go. So I'm gonna literally create a variable called state that is an object that has to-dos, which is an array of to-dos, which is initially empty, and that's about it. But at this point, I just have an object that I've defined, but I could define an interface for it. So I could say interface to-do state. And then I could say to-dos is an array of to-do, like this. And then I can create a to-do interface. In your face. And content is a string, and done is a boolean. Cool. So these are my two interfaces, and I'm saying that state is of type to-do state. Like that. Cool. So that's my interface for that. And then I have some mutations. Why interfaces and not types? Well, in this case, this object here is the implementation of the interface. Like, I technically could create a class that has a to-do property. I don't want to do that. Okay, so we have our to-do state. Now we need some mutations. So I'm just going to say mutations. And that's an object that has functions on it. So one mutation might be something like add to do. And I believe there's a mutation type that we could probably import. Yeah, so like right here, mutation method or mutation payload. And we're gonna need to import that in the other file. And I think this is how you're gonna get type completion for those things. So mutation. So mutation of a type takes in the state and the payload of type any. So I think what we literally want is the mutation type. And so what I'm going to say is that add to do is of type mutation with to do state that takes in a to do. Something like that, or it's something like this. I don't know where to use this, but we need to use this somewhere. How would I do that? Because it's not the return type, it's the type of the function itself, I think. Type mutation of S. Oh, I see. That's where I could define, okay, so I got this. So we could say mutations is our to-do mutations, and then I'll define an interface for to-do mutations. And then this will have one that's add to do, and this is of type mutation with to do state and to do. Thing like that. Why is this complaining? Generic type mutation requires one type argument. Oh, so I guess you just pass in the state. What about mutation method? Flashbacks. Args of any. I guess, okay, so for whatever reason, I can't type the payload, but I am able to say that add to do is a mutation that takes in to do state. And so now that this has this specific type, right here where I have state, I should get autocomplete. So I should get state.todos, right? Because that basically tells me that we have access to that. And then we get the payload, or the to-do, which I can say is of type to-do. I believe I can type the payload there. And I can say state.todos.push to-do. Cool. So at least I'm getting local autocomplete, right? So this is telling me the properties that I have available on state, and then I'm saying that to-do is of type to-do. So when we call this later, we should have to push in that specific type. Cool. So that's a mutation. I guess technically I want an action that calls this mutation. Or really, I just want an action that mutates the state directly. I don't know. Let's do this. Well, just for demonstration sake, to do actions, and then this has something like this, but it's not going to do this. It's going to do something like commit add to do with the to do, something like that. Why are there so many squigglies? We'll get there. We have to fix everything. So first of all, we need to type action. Here, let's see action. So action takes in the state, and what is that R value? I'll have to figure that out. But here I can create an interface for to do actions. Add to do is an action of type to do state, I guess. I don't know what the second type argument is. At this point, I should probably just look at the docs because I'm just trying to figure everything out by looking at what's provided, but I'm going to look at that. Yeah, and to answer a quick question, someone asked, what's the difference between actions and mutations? Typically, actions are things that will like make an API request or do multiple things and potentially call multiple mutations. A mutation is something that just updates state. So you can see here we're just updating state, whereas an action could do like extra things here and extra things here. In the meantime, updating state between all of them. Okay, please tell me what is going on here. There's a lot of context clues for you to be able to figure that out. And if you can figure that out, I will gift you a sub. Critically, how can you figure out what's going on here? I want you to think critically and look around. There's a lot of different things that will help you figure that out. Okay. I'm going to go to the docs. We're going to go to the Vuex docs. We need to look at the Vuex 4 docs. Can we find it? No worries. The link for the YouTube channel isn't working. That should work. That one right there. youtube.com/codingguard. Yeah, you are. Okay. Does anyone know where the Vuex 4 like the Vuex beta documentation is? Because this is for Vuex, the current version. I need the next. Has Critically figured anything out yet? I don't see any new messages from Critically. What's the slow mode currently on? 30 seconds. Go to the sources. Oh, this one. Yeah, I need to update that then. That should be updated. Thank you. I didn't figure it out. All right, well, we'll help you out. So, first of all, I'll help you out. So if you go to twitch.tv/codinggarden, which you've already done because you're here, in the title of the stream, there are a few different commands you can run. The first one is this. Let's see what happens if we run that command. There we go. So that tells you where you can go for to ask questions. The next we have this question. So if you're completely and totally new here, this is going to help you out with the frequently asked questions. So if you go here, that probably has a question answered that you might have about the stream itself. What else do we have? We also have working on. This is probably the one that you were looking for. So this will tell you exactly what I'm working on. Here. Oh, and thank you for that. Son. And so, hey, Anonymous, thank you for that gifted sub to Critically. Yeah, so the working on command will link you to here, which says I'm answering questions from here. And right now we're probably saying hello or answering a question from here. So if we go here, we can see, or maybe not. I see where this breaks down because once you get here, you don't know what question I'm answering. Mainly because my whole pinning logic doesn't stick. Why is my camera so jittery? But this is the question that we're answering right now, which is, how can we get Vuex ViewRouter to work with TypeScript? Yeah. So is there anything else? Oh yeah, and then if you want more help, we have a ton of commands. So if you just do this gives you a link to this web page, and then you can just see all the possible commands that you can run in the chat here. Oh, well, thank you, Fantasy Teapot. I feel like, I mean, today was interesting because we pushed to production without even testing. It sort of worked. It's still kind of broken though. Okay, Vuex, the v4 branch. Are these docs running anywhere? I guess I could just look in the docs directly. So let's look in the docs for v4. Look at the API. I'm just gonna Google it or search. I'm gonna duck it. Vuex for TypeScript. Vuex plus TypeScript. Cool. So we have state. We have our mutations. Our mutation tree. I guess that helps. So we'll import that as well. Mutation tree. And what they're doing is they're saying to do mutations is of type mutations. Extends. Do I want extends or implements? I think something like that. So to do mutations is a mutation tree of the to-do state. Okay. What about our actions? That's mainly what I wanted to see. So action tree and action context from Vuex are brought in. I really don't like the way that they're writing TypeScript. This is really bad. Action tree of state, and then actions is another type? No. Is anyone else perturbed at the way that they're writing TypeScript? Like, they're not creating interfaces. They're using like union types and stuff. I don't know. I don't like it. Is this the article I was just looking at? It is. What are the comments on this article? Perturbed. Use Vuex binding helpers. Let's check it out. Perturbed is new to me. I am annoyed. Like the way that they're writing their TypeScript is not intuitive. I don't know if there are any like people that write a lot of TypeScript in here, but instead of creating an interface that describes the types, they just create an object, and then they're saying that state is of type state, which basically produces an interface out of the available properties on that object, which I think is fine. But interfaces are nice because you can use them elsewhere in your app where you need that specific type of state. Okay, we're gonna get there, everyone. We're gonna figure this out. Vuex for TypeScript. How to use Vuex for with TypeScript. An interface is a description of a thing. So here we have this interface to do. It describes what a to-do is. It is not a to-do. It describes the to-do. So it says a to-do should have a property called done that's a boolean, and it should have a property called content that is a string. So this is an interface. Later on, when I create a to-do, so if I have the thing is equal to an object where it has done as false and content as do thing, this is an object that implements this interface. So this is an implementation of this interface because it satisfies the fact that those two properties are of that specific type. Okay. It's just a video. All right, it's actually from Eric, who has like actually a really good YouTube channel. Take me to your channel. All right, we're gonna go learn from YouTube. Actually, I just want to see a link to his repo, but Vuex for TypeScript. Eric should be the top result. There he is.
Hey, developers. So today we got...
Calm down. Where's the code? Defining actions.
Is create some special actions. Now this is going to be a little confusing, but we're going to use this mutation.
Yeah, this is so he's basically following what happened in that article, and I think it's possible to do it without it. I really do. Okay, but what I saw earlier is that action just takes in state and then state. Like that. I think that should be fine. Okay. I actually don't know how actions work, or don't remember how actions work in general, so let's just go to the docs, and if we look at, not that, I want Vuex, legitimately Vuex. Here, vuex.vue.js.org. If we look at actions, they accept the context. And the context has a property called commit. So I should get autocomplete that says context.commit. Great. And then I can pass in the type. Yeah, so this is all I need here. And then an action can also take in a payload, right? Yeah. So we'll say to do is of type to do. Like that. Cool. So all I'm doing here is demonstrating that we have actions that call mutations, and they're all typed here. So that should be fine. And now all I got to do is export all three. So I'll say export default. I'm going to export an object that has state, mutations, and actions. Like that. Cool. So this is my module. It is the actions, the mutations, and the state, which we have all the interfaces defined. Let's see if I did it right. So first of all, I need to import that submodule. So we'll import to do from to do, like that. And then under modules, I'm going to put to do, like that. What does it say? Is not assignable to type module any. Okay, so I need to type the export. So module is a type, and then it's equal to module, which is of type module that takes in to do state. And what's the other typing? Thomas Media, thank you very much for that Twitch Prime sub. Appreciate you. Okay, so module has type state and then R. What is the R value? A getter tree. I actually don't know, Imphy. I mean, technically, I guess this is an action of to do with type to do, like that. I think that would make sense, right? But how do I figure out this? What is this R type? So we have state, module tree of R. So they're trying to fix it. So I'll say that Vuex 4 is still technically in beta. So they're doing their best to give it like good TypeScript stuff. Klein says I figured it out. I don't know. Is that about your question earlier, or is it something else? Reaction? Maybe it's the callback. No. What did I think I just saw something. Oh yeah. We also want to say namespace is true. All right, let's go back to that article that I don't like and see if they have the module type. R for re. Okay, so I guess so. They're defining the global store here. I don't think they actually have a module. Getters. It's so ugly. I should write an article and show how to do it better. Oh, the root state? That makes sense. I like that, Jahitus, or Jahituts. I like that. So let's do this. Let's define an interface that is the root store. And it has state, mutations, and actions. Actually, it has nothing. We're not going to have any state, mutations, or actions on the root. We're just going to have the to-do module. And so this is it. And so it's just an empty interface. We'll define it elsewhere too. Yeah, okay, so this actually makes, I like this. Okay, I'm gonna create a separate folder for interfaces, so we can get all this organized. Let's call this root store.ts. Cool. Actually, I'm just gonna put all my interfaces in here and export them. So export the root store. That's great. I'm gonna grab these interfaces that I had over here and just put them in this file because I need to use them in defining the root store interface. Cool. And then I need mutation and action from here. Okay, here we go. So our root store has modules, which has a to-do which has a to-do property, which is of type to-do store. Like so. Why is this complaining? Cannot find name to-do. Oh, I see. And then to-do store is type module of type to-do state and root store. Actions are of type to-do actions. Mutations are of type to-do mutations. And state is of type to-do state. Is that right? Why is this complaining? Incorrectly extends. How do I do this? That's how I do that. Okay. What's up, CM Griffin? Or we got a shout out for CM Griffin. Are you here? What's up? Thanks for being here. We're trying to figure out TypeScript with Vuex, and ultimately, I'm figuring out a much easier way to do it than a lot of tutorials that I've found. Okay, it's fine. This is fine. And now to-do needs to import all of these interfaces. So let me export these interfaces. Great. And now we'll import these interfaces over here. I missed a resub. Okay, I'll get back to that. So import import. And actually, I'll create a separate interface for the to-do module. I guess I don't need to do that. Like that. Like that. And then I don't need any of these. And what this is saying is to do actions is not assignable to type action tree, to do state, root store. To do actions needs to be of type action tree. Yeah. An action tree takes in the state and the root state, I guess. Root store. Add to do is not assignable to type string index type. Oh, I see. I guess. I don't know. What's up, Anacodes? Welcome to the show. Is this it? This might be completely and totally wrong. At least to get rid of that type error. And then I'm going to export this default. So export default that. Export default. I'm lost too, Jahitas, or Jahitats. But we'll get there. Okay. So we've defined all of our types. That's great. And then over here, we've imported it, and then we've created it, we've added it, and we don't have any type errors. Great. Now, let's see what happens. Anonymous, thank you for the has gifted one tier 2 subscription. Wow. Okay, so no compile errors. Let's just restart it to make sure. I wasn't getting compiler errors, or I was getting TypeScript type errors. And then if we go to the browser here, we should see a basic app. Great. It's not broken. And thank you very much, Edu, for that Twitch Prime sub. Okay, is there a hype train? Wow. Nice people. All right, so it's not broken. That's a good sign. Now, how do we actually use this in our component and get type completion? I don't know. We're about to find out. So in let's just put this in the home page. We want to use the store in here, and I think the latest version of Vue has a hook to use the store. So we'll say import. I think it's use store, or actually I might even have to create my own hook. Let's see. From Vuex. Do we have any? Yeah, we actually do have it. So Vuex has a hook that we can use called use store that gives us access to the store inside of our component. And so in here, in my setup method, I can say store is equal to use store. The tricky part here is that this is not typed. So actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap this in a typed version. So that way we get automatic typings. So here's what I'm going to do: is in here I'm going to export it. So say store equals create store, export. Let's export that, and then we're also going to export use store. Which I think is just as simple as this. We just literally return the store. I don't know why I wouldn't just import it. But the thing is that store is now typed. It's typed. So, yeah, and I think I can pass in root store here. Yeah. Something like this. I'll just have to update the main so that we import it destructured, like that. And then I can import useStore into my component here. So TS is TypeScript, which is like basically typed JavaScript. Import useStore from @/store. Yeah, that should do it. So now we have the store. Now we should get autocomplete. Store.state.modules.todo.state. Should get .todos, something like that. But I don't know. So basically, let's say I want to access the to-dos array inside of this component. Let me get rid of this extra stuff. That's a bit wrong. We'll get there. We're gonna get it right. And get rid of all this. So I want to say that the to-dos are basically like a computed property from my to-dos store, I think. Store dot yeah. Yeah, so nanocode is saying we have a computed property with store.state. Can we get into modules though? .todo. Let's just log this. In our setup function, let's see what we actually get from that. And right now we return nothing. So type error, cannot access property to do. Store.state.modules is undefined. Let's just log store.state. It's a proxy. So what we're saying is store.state at to do. To do does not exist on type root store. Did I put root true in the module? So let me show you how I have it set up. So this doesn't have a root state. There's only a nested state. Is this using Vue and TypeScript? Oh, sorry. I use Vue 3, but don't use the composition API. Am I missing out? It's really only if you prefer that style. I might have done this wrong. Let me get rid of this typing here. TypeScript, but Vuex 4 beta and Vue 3. Oh, okay. Well, I can do it without TypeScript. Easy. I think store.state.modules is undefined though. Yeah, modules is undefined. I don't like that. What if I just do store.modules? And what if I ignore TypeScript? I'm gonna ignore TypeScript to get it working and then figure out what the types should be. Store.modules is also undefined. So we've got store to do / add to do modules. Store.state of to-dos. Okay, so let's see what's going on there. Yeah, so that gives us back a proxy. That's a good sign. Oh, it's to do. Yeah, and then to dos should be an array, an empty array. Yeah, it's an empty array. Okay, so if I get rid of TypeScript, do we get an error here? We do. This is saying that to do does not exist on type root store. So we've typed that thing wrong. Because it's a submodule, it has that. And I think I've just We gotta figure out the type. So root store has modules. To do is of type module with to do state. And the root store? So yeah, oh, I think I put namespace true on here. Yeah, I did. So all that's good. This is all being exported. It's just a matter of getting the types right. Let's see. Vuex for Typescript module. Module. Any. There we go. Do I need the modules object in the root store? Oh, I do, because the way that you typically define your root store with just like plain Vuex is you have a modules part. So at the top level, you have state, getters, mutations, and actions, but then you also have modules, which has a sub property. So, I mean, I could do this, right? And I think that would fix the type error, but I don't actually, yeah. But I would have to do state.todos, like that. And then why is this complaining? Object is possibly undefined. Oh, state is possibly undefined? What? How is state possibly undefined? It's clearly defined. Oh, so the the store module is called to do. I mean, let's just, to be clear, let's call this items as the underlying state property. And then we can update the interface to say that this is items, like that. Yeah, for whatever reason, state is possibly undefined, but let's see what we get if we try logging that. Object literal may only specify known properties. Oh. No, that should be fine. And then to-do state is of type to-do. Go home, TypeScript, you're drunk. Vuex Typescript M4J. Oh yeah, this is the one I saw, and it's horrible. It's just really bad. It's a bad article. I mean, it's probably fine. I don't know. It's just really weird the way that, like, to me, this is much more straightforward, where you type each thing individually, and then you specify those types, and then you use it. They're using, like, union types, and they've got, like, some weird stuff going on. I just want to get it working like this. Okay, and right now the TypeScript error we get is property items does not exist on type to do state. But it does. Then this is saying property items does not exist on type module to do state. Let's just log the state. This is why we need to switch to properly typed languages in WASM. I'll say, so here's how we preface all of this. I don't have documentation to look at. I'm trying to figure all of this out just by looking at the definitions provided by the TypeScript, or the imports of these types. If we had documentation, that would be great. State is, for whatever reason, undefined. Let's watch it, see if it ever changes. So I'm gonna add a little watcher that looks at store.todo.state and then logs it if it changes. like that. It never changes. Okay. I think what we showed is that this actually works, but TypeScript doesn't like it, which means that we have a bad TypeScript typing. State.todo.items. It's there. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna use this. So we're gonna have a computed property called items. And this is a computed property that just returns those items like that. And this is also going to complain. That's fine. We're just going to TypeScript ignore it everywhere and make sure that it's working. And then we'll get the typings right. So we return items, which means we have access to them here. So we can have a little div, and then for every item in items. Yeah, it's saying type any. That's fine. Store.state.todo.items is there, but not store.state.todo.state.items. Oh no, TypeScript doesn't even like this. It does not allow us to do .items, but this is where the value is, which just means we've put the wrong type on the thing. Is all it means. And then for every item, we'll just show a paragraph with item dot content, like that. And then we'll start off our store with some items. Hello world. And then done is false. It's there. Great. But how do we get the right typings? I suggest using getters, since this is how I got it working. I don't want to use getters, mainly because I'm just accessing state. A getter is meant to be used for a computed property, and we don't really have a computed property here. It's just the items itself. But let's fix the typings. I gotta find better. I'm gonna spend at least 10 minutes trying to find the actual documentation for this, because at this point we've just been flying blind. So let's actually find the documentation. Docs for TypeScript. Oh, there we go. Thank you. Aztec Consulting, thank you very much for the resub. Glad to continue supporting all your hard work. Oh, I appreciate you. All right, TypeScript support. Declare module. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Use store composition function. Okay, so state. Oh, I see. Create store takes in state. Injection key. Okay. You can pass the injection key to the use store to retrieve the typed store instance. Okay, that's cool. So I don't have to create my own use store thing. Simplify use store usage. Define your own use store that, yeah, I mean, this is kind of what I'm doing, but I was accessing the store directly. Store.state.count. Right. I'm gonna go ahead and do this. All of this comes from Vue and Vuex. Do I think TypeScript will rule the web? No, for this very reason right here. Now, I will admit, like, I'm not an expert at TypeScript. I use it, but figuring out the right typings for everything is a lot of work. For a lot of apps, that's fine, but if I'm just trying to like hack something together, I do not want to be slowed down by having to put a type on everything. Because here's the thing, my app works right now. I can see the to-dos in the list. That's great. What I'm trying to figure out is how to get a better developer experience by adding typings to everything, which is what the main pain is here. Right. How do they do that? Use store is return base use store with the key. That's great. Store of type root store, I guess. Something like that. Expected 0 arguments. Got 1. I think I'm just gonna have to TypeScript ignore that. Cool. Question from Anacodes. Newbie question, how do you decide what's a good fit for a project between JavaScript and TypeScript? What kind of things do you take into consideration? Here's the thing. If there are going to be multiple people working on a project, it's very helpful to have interfaces. Because in the JavaScript world, we just create objects. We add properties to them. We do what we can. But for somebody else that comes along to that project, they're not gonna know all of that offhand, right? They're gonna have to look at the code and analyze it to figure those types of things out. But with TypeScript, you basically are documenting your code as you're writing it, and so it's much easier for multiple people to contribute to a project. So I think that's the main thing. If you're writing something that multiple people are contributing to, or it's a large project with a lot of different things in it, TypeScript is going to help because you have to basically create types and interfaces for everything, which describes all of your code. Whereas with JavaScript, you just do the thing and it just works. Okay. Where were we? Oh yeah, we updated our store here, and now we have a new use store function. And so what happens in here with use store? Yeah, so now store dot state dot, it's not there. It's not. What if I do that? Use base store of type root store. And then here, store.state.todo.items is not there. Okay, so that, I think that just means that I have typed root store.todo in the wrong way. So if we look at our interface, root store.todo, this is wrong. How can I make this better? Here's our module with all the things. We are putting it inside of modules, so that's fine. What I heard you say is with TypeScript you need a team. With JavaScript you can just have fun. Yeah, kind of. But I mean, even for myself on smaller projects, I might just, I would use just JavaScript and not TypeScript. Deep inhale. Okay. I'm going to keep looking at the docs because all we found was this. Modules. I'm only going to be streaming for another 15-20 minutes. I'm going to be gone pretty soon. State, mutations, actions, getters, modules. This is view 3 with TypeScript. Yeah, I think this is what we looked at. Okay, so I've been working on this a long time, and I'm trying to answer this question by Shaker Maker. How do you get Vuex and ViewRouter to work with TypeScript? First of all, you can read this article. Now, at a glance, this article does some really weird things with TypeScript. I mean, I don't know. So anybody that, if you're just passively listening, but I would like you to tune back in. If you are a TypeScript developer, I would like you to just do a quick perusal of this article and tell me if the things that they're doing with TypeScript is like weird or non-traditional, because I haven't really seen people do this kind of stuff before. Bad. The main thing is I couldn't find the main documentation for it, and it's still in beta. All right, mutation tree of state. Yeah. Okay. Bad. Finally got the Discord familiarized. Nice. LTTF says it's not good. Okay. Okay. I mean, you can be honest too. Like, if it makes sense to you, that's fine. Augmented action context. Actions are of type augmented action context. Oh, so it just takes in state and state. Action tree of state and state. Maybe that's where I messed up. Anytime I was supposed to pass in two things, I pass in both. Right? To-do actions is not assignable to type action tree. Oh, that was our 10-minute timer for trying to find TypeScript documentation. Module. Oh, and then module of like that. This is probably not right, but we can try it. Store.state. .to-do. No. So here's the issue. This is auto-completing the available things, sort of, but it's not auto-completing the state itself. Yeah, this is new Vuex, Vuex 4. We're trying to use TypeScript typings. You know what? We should be able to, maybe we can find some tests. So we look at Vuex test. Unit tests. Yeah, Pina is probably fine, but Vuex killer. No, here's the thing. I could write all of this from scratch without the Vuex library with TypeScript very, very easily. Very easily, because at the end of the day, mutations are just things that modify state. State could be a reactive variable. Actions are things that could potentially call mutations. I could do it without Vuex. The main thing that Vuex gives you is the Vue dev tools. So you can actually see all of the, I don't know if I have the one that supports Vue 3 in here, but with the Vuex dev tools, you can see all of the actions that are being committed and stuff like that. Okay. Module for unit test. Module spec. Hey, Code Corrupt, thank you for that Twitch Prime sub. Create a module. Wait, what? What is happening here? At module/module. Vue 3 Webpack boilerplate. Is this using TypeScript? Do not use in production. Let's look at the store. All right, we have our to-do type. We have our state, which has a to-do list, which is an array of to-do. Sure. That's great. So here's, okay. They're providing it at the root store. I feel like I could probably do that and get it working. But I'm trying to do it as a module because that's how you would do it in the real world. You wouldn't put it at the root. What's up, Chris? It's going all right. We're just trying to figure out TypeScript with Vue. It's not going well. Examples. Composition. To do MVC. Store. This is a lot older though. So this also doesn't have, yeah, examples don't have TypeScript. Okay. What's up, Samurai? We're just answering questions. This is a coding Q&A, and specifically we're trying to answer a question about Vuex. Property to do is missing in type. Okay, so the typing that we changed is we put to do state here instead of root store. And then here, let's put it back to root store. Is JavaScript similar to Java? No. The only thing they have in common is the word Java. But the syntax is kind of the same. It's C-style syntax. Seems educational. Yeah, we're trying to write some code. We're trying to answer a question. I'm literally on GitHub finding example repos that use TypeScript in Vuex. I mean, I guess I could too. I just hate it. I just don't like looking at this. The way that they've defined this. And then also they didn't do modules here, and I think that's the main issue I'm having. So check it. If I were to not use modules, I feel like I could get it working. I don't know. Yeah, like car and carpet, or ham and hamster. They literally, the only thing they have in common is the word. Okay. Vuex TypeScript module. Vuex module decorators. Vuex with TypeScript. Using Vuex 4 modules in Vue 3 with TypeScript. Let's see how they've done it. This was last updated 20 days ago. We're going to look at the store. We'll see that here. Store is create store. They've got plugins. That's fine. We don't want plugins. They have modules. Okay. Use store just literally returns the store. And then they have a store type, which is a document store of pick, root state, documents, and a profile store. Oh, okay. What is pick? Where's pick coming from? I don't see where this is defined. Is that a TypeScript thing? Pick one of them. Picks the properties from a type. Huh. Interesting. So I think this is what I want, because that can type it. So here I could literally just return store as the root store type. I guess I'm just going to create a store type. Okay, so basically they created that here. And then what is documents store? Document store is defined in store modules documents. Document store is of type state and Vuex store. This is too much. Oh, I see. We just need to do to-do store. And we don't need the and. Pick the root state with to-do. Oh, fiber at home. That's nice, Chris. Good to hear. And then what is their root state? Is a type that has two properties. Documents and profile. Okay. I see where they're going here. I see. Okay. So, we actually do have a root state already defined. We're calling it root store. And root store has a property called to do, right? So that should be fine. But I do need this type for the to-do store. Vuex and Typescript. This article is from 2018, so it's likely very different now. Because Vue 3 was released. Okay, so we need a type that is like document store. Let's look at that type. What if to-do and to-do store should be not a module type? Yeah, I think that's what we need to figure out. So, commit dispatch getters. Oh, I don't like that we have to define all of this. Store is a module of state and root state. So we got that right. Check it. We did that right. So if we look at our to-do, it's of type module with to-do state and root store state. And so what is the root state here? It's imported from the root here. Root state. Yeah. Should be fine. Oh, but I see it's saying of type document state, whereas this is type document store. Ah, okay, so let's look at state in the documents. I see. It literally has the property itself. I think it's basically what we kind of need to do, because we need to attach the properties of to-do state to the module. Well, not attach them, but we need to tell them that they are available. I don't know why that doesn't happen. Yeah, I believe it's called a union type. It combines the two types. An intersection. Okay. I guess I don't need any of these. Yeah, I think. Yeah, can I do this? So it's both. It is not only a module, it's also the state itself. Yeah, I think that's it. That'll do it. And now I can do this without a TypeScript ignore. I've solved it. So basically all I had to do was I had to say that to do is a module, but also so to get access to those properties directly. Yeah. This is so much cleaner and nicer than that article that we read, right? Right? Okay, so but let's just make sure it works. Let's try to call our actions. So to-do.items, that's great. First try, I mean, it took us an hour to figure out. Not worth it, but here's the thing. If I write an article on how to do this, everyone's going to start doing this instead of like that really weird way. But regardless, let's get the other stuff working. So we at least can get access to the state. Great. Now we want to get access to some sort of action, like add to do. So I could say like add to do should be store dot state dot to do dot actions dot. Maybe we're not home free yet, right? State dot to do. I guess you don't call an action directly, do you? You actually just do store dot commit or store dot dispatch. Yeah. So this needs to be a little function that takes in a to do and then calls store dot dispatch with the type, which I don't like. So this should be like to do slash add to do, something like that. Something like that, and we could say to do is of type to do. Right? Okay, this should work if we figure out the right type name, but I think what I want is type completion for the action, so I can know like what property need to be passed into it and stuff like that. So that should be fine. Now we just need to call that function. So let's create a little ref. New to do is a ref that starts off as an empty string. We'll expose new to do on the component. We then have a nice little form, and it has an input for new to do. A nice little label. Now, yeah, we need autocomplete for dispatch for sure. That's what we're going to set up next. This is it. Okay. We have an input. We have a label. I think we should give this a name to be proper. What's the difference between ref and reactive? Ref is a single property wrapper to make it reactive. Reactive takes an entire object and makes that object reactive. Whereas in this case, like, I'm just taking this string and turning it into a reactive string. Okay, now we need a button. It says add to do. And when this form is submitted, we're going to prevent the default action, and we're going to call add to do with, oh, actually, I see. Okay, we need to fix this. So add to do doesn't take in anything. It's going to use that value. So we're going to dispatch an object where done is false and content is equal to new to do dot value. And then we clear out the value to empty the form. Okay, so this should do it. First try. Property items does not exist on type module to do state root store. What? No, come on. No, we fixed that. Try again. Oh, that doesn't have the that type we created earlier. Okay, refresh of everything seems to work. Does this work? It does work. It was a stale error. So that's great. We can call the actions. Now we want type completion here. I want to be able to dispatch a specific action, and I want to get type completion that tells me that the parameter should be to do. Let's look at these other things. Like a call to dispatch. Where do they actually use it? I see. We could define our action types, and then then we could pass in strings. Is there no way to call the action directly? So here's the thing. You can call an action directly. This hurts my head. Store dot. How do you call an action directly? Can we just look at the actions here? What's up, Javis? I appreciate the love. I really do. I'm just trying to figure this out. Let's see if there's any actions here. Undefined. So actually, I think we typed that thing wrong altogether, because this should not have a property here. I believe there is there might be some hooks we can use. Now there's use store. I mean, I guess technically, if we did map actions, that returns a computed property. The data I put in the list is not saved. No, it'll go away the moment the page is refreshed, because it's just in memory on the page. All right, let's look at their actions. Augmented action context. So it's of type commit. Where's commit defined? I don't see where commit is defined. Extends key of mutations. Okay. Key and payload. Parameters of mutations at K. This is making a little bit more sense to me, because basically it's saying the key must be a property on mutations. And so that way we would basically get autocomplete right here. So it would be like, this would literally tell us that's the string that we can provide. Yeah, commit is a function inside augmented action context. All right, let's look at mutations. So mutations, why am I doing this? S equals state. Mutation tree of state. State has a data property. Oh, that makes sense then. Yeah, I guess I'm already doing that. All right, so in my to-do store, I have mutations, which is of type to-do mutations. Type to-do mutations is of type, or I say extends mutation tree. Am I doing that wrong? Should I not be extending it? Because this is what I'm doing here. Mutation tree. Why is it defining both of these? Oh, because this is the type of all of the possible things that you can do. Payload of any. Well, what if I say this is a function that takes in the to-do state and a to-do and returns void? How do I type this? Like that? And mutation. Where is that at? And mutations. Oh, I see. It's to separate purely the mutation types from the idea that this is a mutation tree. Oh, well, to do mutations is our type with the mutation types. And where were we defining? I forget what we were even looking at that defines that. Oh, actions, because action needs commit. So actions is an action tree with state and root state. Yep. And then we're saying that commit is of type augmented action context. which is this beast here. Let's just copy it. I don't like it, but we're just gonna copy it. And this is gonna go where? On our definitions of all possible actions. And then action context gets imported from Vuex here. Store._actions, and then we can call it directly. I don't know if it would be typed in that case though. And so we're gonna say that add to do, the context is of type augmented action context. Something like that. What I'm curious is how they actually do the dispatching in their component. Let's see. They have a hello world component. We have an app. Store.dispatch. And they actually are using the map thing. Okay. Is this just gonna work? Probably not. Type string. How can I say the other types? Hey, Oauth, thank you for that 3-month resub. So the way that this is typed, so yeah, I mean, I could define action types, but action types are literally just strings. So I was expecting that we can get some autocomplete for the string type. What you're saying is store dot, yeah, we don't have that typed though. We don't, I know that that property exists, but it's not typed. What we could do is, so where are we saying that this is of type root store? What if view with TypeScript looks fun. Yeah, what if we define dispatch as a function that takes in the type and the payload? I mean, by default, this is a string. This is like the any type, returns nothing. Like if we have that typing there, Couldn't we add it somewhere? Something like this. It's a store. I think I got rid of it anyways. Okay, so yeah, so that auto completes the state itself. I don't know. I think I'm gonna have to give up. I'm gonna have to look at this later. I think I need to do some research because there are a few different things out there that are using TypeScript with Vuex, and I'm not satisfied with any of them. Yeah, I mean, this article's from 2019. The tricky part is that it's Vuex 4 is still in beta, and I couldn't really even find the documentation for it. So yeah, I'm gonna call it there. Here's the thing though, we got a little bit of some TypeScript typings though. I'll push this code up to GitHub as well, and I'll share the link in the Discord afterwards. But where'd that go? This thing. I mean, this to me is interesting. I feel like if we're gonna have to do this, that Vue should try to provide something like this, where I can just pass in the type, basically like pass in 3 types and it gives me back this thing, right? Instead of having to manually define this. I need to figure out how to use this, but basically what this will do is it'll type the commit function and basically say that the key can only be of type to do mutations. And then inside of the component, whenever we call commit, we're going to get, or not, not commit. I needed to do dispatch. Regardless, it would be similar. But that way, whenever I do store.dispatch, it would basically give me a list of options for things that I could dispatch. Yeah. Types Vuex. Oh no, the types are built in. Yeah, we're not worried about the types for the library itself. That's just fine. It's more so you're defining a custom module, like in this case to do, and how do you provide all of the types on that module to be able to get TypeScript autocomplete. I mean, and we kind of got there. So we have an interface for the to do itself. We have an interface for the state, an interface for mutations that said there is a mutation called add to do. We have an interface for actions, which defines an action called add to do. And then we have an interface for the store itself. And then we just implement it. And then we get this weird stuff here, but everything else is just implementing it. I don't know. I spent way too long on that. Actually, I guess one thing I didn't show you is now that items comes back as type to do, this should get automatically typed. Yeah, and we see that items is a type of computed ref. And now inside of the template, we should get autocomplete. So I should be able to do item dot, and it knows that the properties are like content and done. So that's one benefit of doing what we've done here is like even this gets typed. And actually we don't need to ESLint ignore anything anymore. Wow. Okay, cool. Or just use TypeScript. I mean, we're using TypeScript. I don't know what you're talking about. All right. Let me see if there's just like 1 or 2 more questions I can answer, and then we're going to go. But thank you, Shaker Maker, for your question. We'll figure it out. Sven with the 4-month resub. Very much appreciated. TypeScript is a developer tool. It gives you better inline documentation for your code. Philippe says, if you had to deploy a node project with a MongoDB database on a budget, assuming you're not expecting that much traffic, how would you do it? It's a good question. So MongoDB Atlas is like the easiest way to go. MongoDB Cloud Atlas. MongoDB Atlas. I don't know what their pricing looks like though. You can, so on the free tier, you can have up to a 500 megabyte or 500 gigabyte? No, 500 megabyte, half a gigabyte of storage for the free tier. So you can just sign up and you instantly get a free database hosted in the cloud. Easy enough. If you want to start to have like backups and other things that would be required of a more production level application, you're going to start to have to pay per month. And I don't really know how the pricing goes. I use the free tier for a lot of things. I don't use Mongo that much at work, so I'm not really familiar with the pricing there. So there's that. You could just use that. It's going to scale for you. It's perfectly fine. I mean, the other thing you could do is if you know that you're not going to be expecting that much traffic, you could just install MongoDB on a virtual private server, and you'd have to set up all the backups yourself and everything else like that. But the nice thing about that is you typically have a lot more disk space on your own virtual private server, so you wouldn't be limited by the 500 megabyte limit. But honestly, if you had to deploy it, just use Atlas. You can use the free tier, and then the prices go up from there. I'm not sure what they'll be though. Cool. Thank you for your question. Question from Toasted Cheeses. Can subs send messages quicker than every 30 seconds? I've tried this in the past, and the reason I don't do it is because there are a lot of subs here, and then it would kind of just negate the fact of slow mode anyways. If people were sending messages. Maybe some other time, but that's mainly why. Yeah. Will I ever do a meetup? That would be awesome. Oh, I thought about doing like a Coding Garden World Tour or something like that. Or like at least a tour of the United States. But I have to put more thought into that. Yeah. Thank you for your question. Is there a SWR React hooks equivalent for Vue? And maybe an example on how you would use it. What's SWR? Standing wave ratio. No. What's even the point of slow mode in a chat with 300 viewers where what 10 to 20% may interact? Oh, are you new here? Who are you? You're following since yesterday. Okay, no, I get a lot of chat interaction, and especially with all of the commands that people can run and stuff like that. Well, welcome American 2050. Thanks for being here. You would be surprised at how fast the chat moves sometimes, which is why I just leave. Like, so right now it's near the end of the stream. I'm doing something. I was like deep in the code. It's a little less interesting. So people are sending messages less, but it gets crazy. Did we figure out what SWR means? I don't know, but to the earlier question, it would be fun. I'd love to visit like India or Denmark or Costa Rica. Because I know there are a lot of people that watch that live there. Okay. I need to figure out what this means. Oh, React hooks for remote data fetching? Okay. Use SWR. You specify an endpoint and a fetcher. What's a fetcher? That's the actual function that does the fetching? Yeah, it seems like it's similar to React Query, but it's just an easier way of managing calls to an API. So the question was, is there an equivalent like that for Vue? Probably. But I'll also mention that I kind of wrote one from scratch, sort of. I'll show you. So if you look at the Vue 3 Abstravaganza repo, I believe, well, this one on web APIs is using TypeScript as well, but you can see the hooks that I defined use fetch. So this is a hook that handles its own internal state of like loading, setting up the response data, setting up if there was an error, and then you can just This does all the stuff under the hood, and then you can just use it in a component. So let's look at our components. Our views. Probably home. I don't even remember what this app does. Yeah, so we have this use fetch of a given type, and then you pass in the URL, and it manages calling the API, setting state, and stuff like that. So we wrote it from scratch, but I'm sure something like it exists. Thanks for asking. Is using PHP a great approach for a REST API? It is an approach, and PHP is fine. I use a lot of Node, but you could use PHP if you want. How do I deal with DS store files in Git? I have a global git ignore. If you go to my home directory, yeah, so I have this git ignore at the root of my home directory that ignores DS store files, and this gets applied to any Git repo. So it basically never are never committed to a project. And if you're not familiar, DS store is like a Mac specific thing. They're like thumbnail caches for the Finder window. Do I know any good CS library for Vue 3? You mean CSS library or like component library? If you're talking about component libraries, I don't know. And I've been looking for one. I might create one. Vue 3 is very new, so a lot of people... Yeah, so you can use any CSS library with Vue 3, but what's more particular is like a component library, and I haven't really found any that exist yet for Vue 3. I think a good contender, and one thing you might see pretty soon, so there's this thing called UIKit. It's pretty cool, I do have to say. So if you look at their documentation, they have a ton of components, like a ton of components. And this is just a general CSS framework where they have like your basic components that work just by applying CSS classes, but then they do have some JavaScript for the more interactive features. But someone has written a UIKit Vue wrapper library. So UIKit Vue, let's see. Is this the one? This is not the one. There's a different one. YouTube link to my channel is not working. Yeah, I need to update it in a couple of places, but this is the latest link. Check that one out. Is that the one? Is this the one? I don't know. I can probably find it later. I think it might be in like community plugins or something like that. Actually, is it here? Oh well. But there's somebody that wrote a UIKit wrapper in Vue 2, but they upgraded it to the composition API for Vue 2. So it's really close to being supported by Vue 3. They just need to replace the composition API plugin with calls to the composition API directly, and it probably will work. So I'm looking out for that. I gotta find that repo, but that would basically be a Vue component library for this UIKit CSS framework, which would be cool. All right, I think I'm done. I think that's it. Last one. Do I have any recommendations for task lists or notes to stay organized when working on a project? No recommendations. We use Jira at work. It's fine. I use Trello on personal projects. It's fine. Yeah, any of those things is gonna work. You could use GitHub projects too. Okay, thank you all for watching. This has been very fun. Thank you all for following. We got 1, 2, 3 followers today, and we got a bunch of redemptions that I didn't see. So you're all gonna get your points back. Yeah. All right. I'll read your comment after because I do have to go. But yeah, check out the raid messages here. If you're a sub, that's your raid message. If you're not a sub, this is your raid message here. And wherever we go, be nice, share the love, all that good stuff. Next stream, for sure, is next Friday. There may be one before that. I don't know. Stay tuned. Join the Discord. Follow on Twitter. You'll get updates and stuff like that. Cool. All right. Wherever you are in the world, have a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, or night. And until next time, here's this.
But yeah, it's just like every week we take those projects and those like new plugins or features that people are creating, and we create a blog post out of it. So that was the other part of my day, is writing the community digest number 29 that's coming out today. And
Sweet.
so yeah, it was just like, oh, what happened?
Are you saying that's what my face? Coding
Oh,
Garden. What's up, CJ? Coding Garden just rated with like 200 freaking people. Oh my. Wow. This is maybe gonna
Hi,
get
everyone.
like even more entertaining. Thank you for the raid. I appreciate it. What's going on, man? Wow. I think this is the time. I'm not like this. We need to recap, right? Like who we are and what we're doing. For all of these new people that just came in, which is super exciting. So, what we are talking about today is DevRel or developer relations. What a developer advocate does, for example. My name is James. This is the James Q Quick channel, and I work as a developer advocate for Auth0. Do lots of online content and theory, speak at conferences and meetups and stuff like that. And then my friend Capacitor is joining me, who is in developer relations at Sanity.io.
Yeah. So we're talking about like getting into DevRel
Yeah.
and what a developer relations person does. So that's kind of what I was talking about is the day-to-day.
Yes.
And so my day-to-day yesterday is what I was going over.
And there was a huge nap involved, or just like a lay down on the floor involved. Maybe not a nap, but
yeah. So stream, lay after the
lay down,
stream,
stream, lay down, done.
look at the wall, and then wrote a blog post. So